After a fall, it hits a tiny box with a miniature sculpture made by Samantha inside. Seeing it awakens new memories about who she was, and the pieces of the puzzle begin to fit together. Johnny quickly flies to Samantha's house but is hampered by her appearance in order to get her attention. Already at work and faithfully followed by Johnny turn to fly, Samantha receives a visit from Sudeep. They begin to talk about the loss the young woman was going through, to which he advises her that the best way to overcome the grief was to forget Johnny and replace him, even offering himself seductively for this task. Johnny, offended, begins to brazenly attack Sudeep's ear and face, generating in him strange reactions in front of Samantha. After this, and due to the arrival of Samantha's colleagues, Sudeep takes his leave. Johnny chases Sudeep to his house, where he is taking a sauna bath in a box with only his head on the outside. As the beginning of his revenge, and in an effort to try to finish him off, Johnny begins to annoy him, buzzing around him, and causing him to twist in such a way that the box's brakes come loose, rolling across the bathroom and narrowly avoiding embedding his head in the bathroom's pointed faucet. While Johnny did not end his life, he did end his reputation, as Sudeep exits the bathroom completely naked, using the towel he had in his private parts to kill the fly, embarrassing himself in front of all his associates. Back in his office, Sudeep calls the volunteers in charge of the project he is funding, including Samantha, and proposes a trip for more funding. One condition, however, was that he had to bring one of them along. So he was able to arrange it with Samantha. During the night before the flight, Johnny keeps bothering Sudeep, preventing him from sleeping well and getting up late for the flight. Not enough with that, once Sudeep was on his way to the airport, Johnny caused a car collision on the avenue, disturbing the traffic personnel in the ear. However, Zudeepa manages to rent a car anyway and continues on his way. The fly manages to sneak into the car's pipes, exiting through the air conditioner and flying close to Sudeep's eye, grazing it and causing it to swerve, overturning the car and finally crashing it into a truck loaded with sand. Sudeep manages to survive, so Johnny takes advantage of the ashes that had been scattered on the car's windshield and writes the phrase "I will kill you." Back at home, Sudeep becomes paranoid and claims that a fly is trying to kill him. All his colleagues and workers think he is going crazy. At that moment, Samantha appears, worried about his situation. In order to corroborate her sanity, she goes to the same place where the remains of the car were, and makes sure that the phrase written on the windshield was real. At the same place, he meets an unknown hooded person, who assures him that they will meet again the day he is covered in ashes in front of a safe. Johnny returns to Samantha's house and decides to use drops of water on the counter to write a message, claiming he was the fly. Samantha, totally impressed, begins to pay attention to his movements, reading the message he wrote. Johnny claims that he had been reincarnated as the fly and Samantha believes him. She asks him if what had happened was an accident, but he affirms that someone had killed him. Taking advantage of a photo of Sudeep in a nearby newspaper, she points him out, blaming him for the murder. Still shocked, Samantha begins to draw conclusions and to understand the reason why the tragedy had occurred. Finally, she asks Johnny if he needed her to do something about it. He, with red paint, clearly marked a line on Sudeep's neck, implicitly asking her to be part of the revenge he was planning. Johnny and Samantha start working together. The girl uses her miniature sculpting skills, creating the fly with poison-resistant armor, tiny blades for its legs, a house, and training equipment. At the same time, the billionaire begins to take serious measures so that no fly can enter his house, armoring it completely and even asking his workers to kill it at any appearance of a fly. The attempts of the duo to assassinate Sudeep begin. From all of them, he was saved until they discover a prototype cannon that he had as a decoration. The plan was to fill it with gunpowder, then insert a bullet and aim it straight at the victim's heart. Slowly, using a basket that Samantha had created for him, Johnny began to fill the small cannon with gunpowder. Everything was going smoothly until an employee, in his eagerness to get rid of a piece of garbage, put it inside the cannon, plugging it. That's when Samantha decided to go to Sudeep's house and remove a small screw from the window where the fly could have access, avoiding the shielding. Upon entering, Johnny begins to embed the small blades of his legs in Sudeep's back, distracting him from his attempt to seduce Samantha. Later, Sudeep has a work meeting with some contractors, and his right-hand man asks him to behave himself. However, he attracts attention as soon as he enters the room, because he is equipped with gloves and a helmet so that no part is exposed. I see him looking tired and totally paranoid. At this moment, Johnny makes an appearance and begins to land on the contractor's head, causing Sudeep to start beating everyone, trying to assassinate him. With the meeting ruined, his right-hand man asks him to take out the money he had in the safe at home. However, Johnny complicates it for him by having the password invalidated multiple times by pressing random keys. At this, Sudeep comes up with the great idea of burning the lock on the safe with a blowtorch. Johnny, still wanting to cause more chaos, causes the blowtorch to be pointed at the money, and it starts to catch fire. Completely defeated, Zudayepa remembers the prophecy he had been given and runs to the same place as last time. The hooded figure appears to be a sorcerer who tells him that the fly is actually the person he had killed reincarnated. In this way, Sudeep agrees to perform a satanic ritual in which they would use 2 birds to attack Johnny. A great pitched battle ensues in Sudeep's house between the birds and the insect, culminating in what would be a great fire. Sudeep is locked in his armored office, filled with smoke. Thinking that he had finally won the victory and had succeeded in taking down Sudeep, Johnny sets off some fireworks with the phrase "job done" to let Samantha know what had happened. However, they didn't count on the businessman's right-hand man sharecropping in to save him at the last minute, breaking the glass in the place. Not understanding how the fly had entered the house, Sudeep sits down in front of a window and, feeling a breeze coming in behind him, notices the hole the screw had left behind. He runs to the surveillance cameras to see who it was that had removed the screw and realizes that it was Samantha. Upon seeing the video footage of how the fly had gotten in, the workers begin to believe the paranoid story of the vengeful fly. Sudeep goes to find Samantha and takes her with him. Inside the car, the man begins to tell her the story of how a fly had been trying to murder him for a long time, and how he suspects he has a human accomplice who helped him get into his house. Samantha gets nervous but tries to conceal it until, already in Sudeep's house, he shows her the recordings and takes her hostage. Johnny flies to her rescue and surrenders. Just as Sudeep was about to step on him, he picks up a pin from the ground and sticks it in his enemy's foot. A pitched war with state-of-the-art weapons starts to happen in the house. Johnny, cunningly, infiltrates the wiring, an electrical fault causing a chandelier just above Sudeep to fall, causing the glass to embed itself in his face but still not finishing him off. Still chasing him with the pin between his legs, Johnny lunges at Sudeep, who manages to catch Nani with a magnet. With one of the same glasses that was embedded in his face, he cuts one of Johnny's wings, and then, taking the pin, he starts to play trying to kill him and torturing Samantha, who has to watch the whole scene. Suddenly, Johnny sees on the table the piece of trash that the employee had stuffed inside the office's ornamental cannon, realizing that the cannon was now clear and full of gunpowder. Heroically, Johnny sacrifices himself, bathing himself in gunpowder, warning Samantha to run out of place, and allowing Sudeep to set him on fire and then quickly fly into the cannon, ignite it, and cause the ammunition to impact directly against the villain's heart. Finally, that explosion manages to trigger a total electrical failure, exploding the entire house and its surroundings, taking Sudeep's life with it. Ending the film, Samantha is seen on her motorcycle, evading a new stalker. Until, again, a fly knocks him off his bike, and with a pin he writes "I'm back" in the air, giving us to understand that our protagonist had survived.